It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
Dear Strongbad, you're a funny guy.
We're going to go there. We're going to pick on Andy while he's not here.
Who has not, who of people of a certain age, Steve, come on. Who has not heard of Homestar Runner? Can we get that out of the way?
Andy Nelson is one.
He's not here, and therefore he must be ridiculed mercilessly. Man, that took me back.
Oh, yeah. I remember I was teaching high school, and one of my students was hanging out after school, just, waiting for his ride or something. He was like, "Oh, Mr. Sarmano, you got to see this. It's like the funniest thing ever." And he showed me the Strong Bad email with Trevor the Vampire. And that was my introduction to Homestar Runner, and it just never turned back since then.
2 years ago, they posted on their YouTube page, it was an updated Homestar with, it was called The Death of Flash, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And it was all about what they're going to do because Flash is dead. And so they're talking, and elements of the Flash interface builder start falling from the top of the screen. It's good. I made a joke in Slack that we were going to talk about Homestar Runner and Ask a Ninja, but what I didn't realize, I have my Ask a Ninja t-shirt. I'm wearing it this morning.
That was another blast from the past.
Right.
I was like, oh, wow. Yeah.
I met those guys at the New Media Expo some 12 years ago in Long Beach. And you know what? They're not ninjas, as it turns out. Not at all.
It's all just a sham. It's just a facade.
It is. It's a total scam.
Imagine that on the internet, somebody posing as someone that they're not.
I was disappointed to hear that there is, in fact, no ninternship program.
Oh,
that was only survived, I think, by Ben Franklin and Joan of Arc. How's your movie going week? You see anything good?
Oh, let's see. This week, well, so I watched, First Contact, trying to just get caught up on my trek. And that is one of my favorites of all of them. And so I had to listen through and have Andy just, destroy my memories of that. So I had to go back and verify. No. I still really enjoy that film. It's, I think, my favorite of the next gen films. And I watched it and I'm like, no, I have no quibbles.
There are no. The line must be drawn here.
Here. Yes.
Okay. We were probably too hard on it. Is that what you're saying? Just generally?
No. I mean, you have to take it for what it is. And yes, there's some little story issues, but can you let it go and just have fun? Sure. And that's what that film's supposed to be.
I can, but I found myself so bored on Earth.
Oh,
I wanted to get back to the Enterprise every time they cut away.
Oh, yeah, that's true. So there's that. And then I'm trying to squeeze in Blade Runner. I've got the director's cut. Wait, wanna. Exactly. He's a replicant.
He's a replicant.
See, now that needs to be, when the new one comes out on Blu-ray and everything, there needs to be a Homestar like Blade Runner, parody that the brothers Japs had put together with like Strong Bad, and I could just see Strong Sad there, in the M. Emmett Walsh role from Blade Runner.
Oh, please make this an extra.
So I've never seen the director's cut, which is the Ridley Scott director's cut version. So I'm going to try and squeeze that in this weekend because the new one's coming out, and I'm torn, about trailers, and I'm now also torn about those little shorts that they're releasing.
I imagine these shorts are driving you crazy.
So I think, well, they're part of the story, and that goes back to they did similar things with Alien Covenant, and I think there was some really interesting backstory and character pieces that isn't going to ruin the movie for me. It's going to help establish the world. So I'm thinking I'm going to have to delve into those, which fine because I don't think it'll spoil the movie or give much away, but will help sort of frame the story when I get to it. So
I haven't seen the second one. Just came out, I think, this week. I haven't seen the first one, or I've seen the first one and I liked it. It was good, but the second one I haven't seen yet.
So that, and then of course I've got to run out this afternoon and see Kingsman.
Oh yeah, we're 2 for today.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. Your memory of Kingsman was very positive. The first one.
Oh,
yes.
I watched it just a couple months ago. So
Yeah.
with one of my kids. So, but
Yes,
that's older and of an age where it's somewhat more appropriate.
Yeah, I'm never gonna live that down.
No. But no, I just forgot how much fun that is. And so I'm really, really looking forward to where they go with this story, because I think they just set such a solid foundation to build that franchise on, and to just see them start to expand that world. I'm really looking forward to that. So that's sort of what I've got in the works. And then if you haven't seen it, you need to watch American Vandal on Netflix.
Oh. Yes, I have not seen it yet, but I actually saw you post about that in the Slack group, and it's definitely on my list.
It starts off as just ridiculous, and then slowly over time, I got sucked into the story, and by like the last 3 episodes, this thing has gotten like kind of serious and heavy, because it starts off as just this ridiculous, parody of things like Serial and Making a Murderer at a high school. But then somehow the writers, it's like they're channeling John Hughes, because you think of like The Breakfast Club starts off silly, and by the time they're sitting around talking about why they're there, it is like this serious, heavy teen drama. And this takes a similar path. So I was really impressed with how they captured that transition. And as I was watching the first episode, one of my daughters walked past, and there's a scene where they're sort of setting up everything, and there's screenshots of like Instagram and Twitter and all this stuff. And she looked at, she's like, well, yeah, that's exactly what high school kids would do with that on Instagram and Snapchat. Wow. So I've got verification from an actual high school student that
with bona fides.
This looks like a realistic thing compared to what teens would do on social media with vandalism like that. So definitely caught me off guard. I thought, I just want to watch something light and fun for a laugh. And then I think I binged it over 2 days.
Really?
Yeah, just had a tremendous time with it. So really looking forward to seeing if they're going to do a second season, where they're going to go.
Let's see. I rewatched Logan. All the we were talking about all the iTunes updates.
Oh yeah,
this week, and Logan is one of those that was updated to 4K HDR, and so I watched that as intended to be, and it, man, I still adore that movie. It really, it just hasn't been that long, but it just so holds up.
Now, did you watch Logan or Logan Noir?
I watched a little bit of Logan Noir. I'd watched Logan Noir when they updated the iTunes Extra with it some months back. Did that one? I think actually was released with Logan Noir.
Yeah, I think it did.
It was Mad Max that
yes,
that actually was updated later. Right. Yeah. Anyway, which is equally fantastic. I love these black and white. People are. I think there's. I don't know why there's negative. There's negative mojo around these black and white conversions, but I really enjoy them.
Well, especially when it's the director, that's involved in that process, and it's not, I think particularly in the case with Logan, it wasn't a case of like a cash grab. People could have made that argument with Mad Max of like, oh, it's released, on video, and now, a month or two later, hey, now there's the black and chrome version, so drop some more money for that, which is why I'm so appreciative of Apple and iTunes and what they do of just sort of like repackage it, just like, oh, well, you already own the movie, here, we're gonna put that in there for you. You're not having to pay more for those bonus features that have now become available, or the updates to 4K. So when people, I'm a big proponent of buying things digitally, and so that's one of the reasons why I keep pushing that. Like, you buy the movie once and you keep, it's the gift that keeps giving.
It does, and I love these little reminders, because I'm looking at their list of 4K movies. I need to watch that again. That's a fantastic movie. So I'm really enjoying it. They don't let you download 4K. That you can only stream. Did you know that?
Oh, it's through the Apple TV, right?
Yeah, for Apple TV, for anywhere. I mean, if you have a 4K display, it detects a 4K display. It will only stream it which I think is fine. I don't want to store a bunch of 4K things
No.
either. I'm pretty sure that's part of the deal around, copyright and the deal around not paying more.
Yeah.
And so anyway, but I'm very much enjoying that experience. We got a little bit of follow-up. Scott Colin wrote us in and wrote us a nice message about Star Trek: The Motion Picture. That he just finished listening to the podcast, and he was just so glad that we talked about how good the movie was. I always felt that this was a very underrated Star Trek movie. Yes, it's a long TV episode, but felt in the end it delivered. I remembered spending time with my aunt's house and watching it every day. I always say I enjoyed it. Thank you, which is very kind, Scott Colin. Thank you for writing us and saying that. And I actually think that movie is less of an extended TV episode, certainly, than the movies that we're getting into in the series.
Yeah. Well, that's the challenge when adapting a TV show to film of what is it that's the draw to those. Yep. And it's like, well, if the TV show was so successful, what is a slightly bigger story that we could tell that we couldn't constrain to 2 minutes on TV? And let's just tell a slightly larger story. And I think that, this was 20 years ago that First Contact came out. So it just, there was a genre films didn't have sort of the status that they have now. I mean, you look at, when you have something like It just dominating the box office the way it is, and just the whole trend with Marvel and what they're doing, I think there may, we'll see when you get into the newer Trek films of, changes that occur in story and how they're telling those stories now.
Well, spoiler, I like them.
Yeah.
I like them a lot.
Well, anything's better with Cumberbatch. I mean, he's like the bacon of films. You just put a little Cumberbatch in there and it's better.
And it's Cumber-better.
Yes, it is.
That's right. Yeah. Can we talk about It for a minute?
Sure. We can.
I still haven't seen it, but you sent me a Twitter account that delights me. Is that actually in the movie, or is that something that? Oh no, that is a CG'd.
Oh no, that's in the movie. That's a scene from when the Losers Club, get down to sort of Pennywise's, main, place under the tunnels there, and so he's sort of taunting and tormenting them.
Can you set up the Twitter account though?
So in this scene, it's the Losers Club are down there, and there's a scene where there's looks like a carnival stage, and the curtain drops, and there's Pennywise dancing. So this Twitter account, which is Pennywise dancing, is basically they've gone through and sort of captured the rhythm of his movements and found songs across all decades and genres that will just sync up to that perfectly. So you've got Taylor Swift, Shake It Off. You've got Aha, Take On Me, and just this horrific Pennywise the Dancing Clown dancing to your favorite pop ditties is just
and Numa and the Macarena and Botan Anna, which I think is like a Hindi song. This is amazing. It's amazing. You are so subdued as you describe this thing, but I want to watch every one of them. There are only 12,000 followers on this account, which is ridiculous. You think that this is going to not be this is going to be something that's going to get old. It doesn't. Oh, no. It doesn't get old. More people need to be exposed to Pennywise dancing.
Yes, it's at Pennywise_dance. And they just keep adding them. And the account is only just, I think, maybe a little over a week old. I mean, you've got such great hits as Come On Eileen, The Hamster Dance, Cotton Eye Joe. All your favorite hits accompanied by Pennywise dancing.
Thomas the Tank Engine. Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yes, that was a little eerie, but
it's the same clip.
Yes.
Like same clip. And even I haven't seen the movie, I still adore this. I adore it.
It's one of those internet wormholes that just sucks you in, and the next thing you know, your afternoon is gone. Yep.
That is what happened. Link in the show notes. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the numbers though. Leading into It, boy, is this ever a great segue. What is going on with the box office? It has just I did not see this coming. The domination of It.
No,
I thought that this was going to be a middling to fair Stephen King thing, and it's hit 223 million in the box office for as we're leading toward the end of September here.
Yeah, we've done box office done a complete 180 from having like the worst August in decades to now on track for a record September of all time, since they've been tracking.
Yeah.
So I mean, it maintaining that, and then I think this weekend the other two contributing factors everyone's looking at is Kingsman, and then you've got the Lego Ninjago movie. So I think you've got your two audiences right there that are gonna come out for those titles and just pack the box office this weekend. So
and the number of people are going to see both those movies,
yes.
The crossover, because we know that Kingsman is a great parent and child film. So the crossover is rich.
Well, we know that JJ was going to go see both of them this weekend, and I just had to make sure that he knew which one to take his kids to. So
he doesn't. He does not. It looks like the peak in the last, I don't know, since 2005. The high was 2015. That was the record month of September, and we are trailing 158 million behind that pace because of other factors, but the fact that we are even in striking distance of that pace is it. And check it, like Sully was the big movie last year, and it had only hit 99 million at the same time.
Well, in that record year, it was Hotel Transylvania 2 with only 55 million. So I think it was just distributed amongst a lot of movies that were really strong back then, but I think it is helping lift that up, and I think we'll see some really big numbers this weekend to finish off the month. So
yeah, it's just crazy. I can't believe I still haven't been able to get out to see it.
Because you subjected yourself to the Dark Tower, so you're gonna throw your money behind that Stephen King property and not it.
I know it's not that I know, Steve. I know.
Well, I think what's interesting is that I think it's maybe leading the charge for a resurgence in interest in Stephen King properties, because we had Andy's trailer a couple weeks ago of Gerald's Game, and I'm still eagerly awaiting any additional information about the Hulu series Castle Rock to see what that's going to turn into, what that really looks like. So I think this is just sort of amping everybody up for some really good quality Stephen King material.
Yeah, absolutely. And my trailer today, if we're going to move into trailers, my trailer today was I'm thinking about this next Stephen King thing, which I can't believe this guy's on such a roll right now. We're in another upswing of Stephen King stuff, which is the trailer for 1922, based on a novella I have not read.
I have not either. It's not a title that I was familiar with.
It is the story of a proud rancher, according to IMDb. A simple yet proud rancher in the year 1922 conspires to murder his wife for financial gain, convincing his teenage son to participate. And I'm really torn about this film, about this trailer in particular. It's coming directly to Netflix. Netflix got the distribution here in the United States, at least. And it stars Thomas Jane, Molly Parker, and Neil McDonough. Yay, Neil McDonough. Brian Darcy James and Dylan Schmidt. It is... I felt like this is two trailers, or maybe that this felt even more like a trailer for a series that was coming to Netflix, not just a movie. And they gave an awful lot away. Like you could feel like they were giving a few moments from a number of episodes.
Yes.
I don't know that worked to the trailer's strength.
Yeah, I was, since it wasn't a title I was familiar with, so we get this, rural, Nebraska setting in 1922, and we've got some voiceover narration, so we get the sense that there's this tension in the family, and he's a man of the land, and his wife is fed up with it. And I thought, okay, so this is the more rooted in reality Stephen King. It's going to play out the sort of the terror of maybe like domestic violence or something like that. And then it shifts and goes full on like weird supernatural Stephen King with mysterious and haunting things happening. And it does feel like two parts of the whole, but I wasn't familiar with the story. So I looked into this, and it's part of a collection of 4 novellas in Full Dark, No Stars, which I'm not familiar with. That was from 2010. But in Wikipedia, this is, Stephen King likes to keep his universe intact. And so what's interesting, I guess, is it takes place it's set in Hemmingford Home, which is home to Mother Abigail from The Stand, and Ben Hanscom as an adult from It that's the town where he lives. So he's got Derry out east, and he's got Hemmingford Home in Nebraska. But the collection itself was nominated for a Bram Stoker Award. It won the Bram Stoker Award, and was nominated 2011 British Fantasy Award for Best Collection. So some quality King novellas that it wasn't on my radar. So something I may have to delve into, take a look at what he's doing with these novellas.
I think so. I think the turn in the middle of the trailer from, brooding Nebraska farm story to supernatural story is great, actually. I mean, I think it was a huge surprise in terms of the narrative arc of the trailer. It was a huge surprise when he actually tells you this is the story you're about to see, and this is going to be a thing where I've decided to kill my wife. I thought that was fantastic. I just feel like from there, they gave up an awful lot, and I wonder what their strategy was behind that, showing so much of the supernatural, so many of the rats and all that stuff that feels like would have been better introduced in the film. But again, one of the things Andy and I have been talking about in our sort of frustrating conversations around trailers is the notes the studio heads are sending back when these trailers are cut, and then when the director says don't give that away, but the studio heads are saying, oh well, that's going to sell, that's going to get people to stream, that's going to get people to watch, so yep, we're going to put that in there, and you don't really have a choice. So and that's always a surprise to me is the disconnect between the creators of the movie and the creators of the trailer. That it's always such a surprise when a creator actually is able to have sway over the trailer.
Yeah, and I guess that's gets to sort of ownership of the property and what that theatrical experience is going to be like. Because I think there's some films where, the more you can throw as much Transformers stuff out there, and I don't know that that's ever going to diminish or take away from your experience in the theater, but there's others where you have something that's a little bit more psychological. You've got twists going on, which is why I, just avoid trailers so much. It just gives away sometimes so much. And I know I like that thrill of discovery on some of these journeys, to let that filmmaker take me on, just lead me down this path that they want to take me on, and sort of hand over all control to them without, I haven't been tipped off by big, signposts along the way of like, oh, by the way, you might recall this is what's coming up, to prep me for, what's going on. I go in blind. And so, that's the challenge of that. But I also understand the need for a property that's just not as high profile. This isn't a title like, I wasn't aware of it. And, a trailer to have to get me in there, because particularly with Stephen King, some of his film adaptations have not been quality. So here's another Stephen King thing, great, okay, is this worth my time? So they gotta get the hooks into you. And I think this one, they maybe went a little bit too far, but if I hadn't seen the supernatural piece, I don't know that it would have been high on my radar, because I don't know if, early 20th century rural domestic, family drama was something that would be high on my watch list.
No, you don't think? Well, this one hits, the only release I have, it hit Fantastic Fest September 23rd already. And then, wait a minute, is that already? That's today as we record this. Already. It's this morning. Nobody has seen it. That's why it has 0 stars on IMDb. As we record this, it opens on internet on October 20th.
Okay.
That's it. That's my trailer. What's yours? I don't even know what yours is.
You don't know?
I'm coming at this totally blind. Did you even post
last
it?
Night.
Wait, did I watch it?
Are you interested in Ridley Scott's next venture?
Oh, okay.
All the money in the world. The story of the kidnapping of 16-year-old John Paul Getty III, and the attempt by his mother to convince his billionaire grandfather, her father-in-law to pay the ransom. And this was one that I, caught my eye because of Ridley Scott's name. I think it's interesting when he's one of those filmmakers who'll go from, the science fiction to, these, sort of like real life dramas. And Michelle Williams, Mark Wahlberg, and Kevin Spacey as Getty, the billionaire. I was, sort of like the big reveal at the end of the trailer. But I'm intrigued because this isn't a story that I'm really familiar with or that aware of. So walking into this story sort of blind, I think Getty's an interesting figure in American history. And I think this just looked like a look at what's going on in terms of family, politics, and power, and what that does to people and how it impacts their sort of family dynamics. So, Michelle Williams, there's a point where, she's talking to a reporter or, one of Getty's, secretaries, and she's like, I'm not a Getty. She's a Getty by marriage. So she doesn't have that status. She's married into it. And so she doesn't have that pull, with her father-in-law to get things done. She's sort of seen as an outsider. So I think just sort of class and society looks interesting to me. And I know Ridley Scott can, is hit or miss, but this is one that I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt on and let him tell me the story.
Michelle Williams is one of those actresses that it kind of confounds me. I never know what I'm going to get when I watch one of her movies, and I'm generally surprised because I grew up or I sort of grew up with her as Dawson's Creek, and that's not that's not a great thing to base a career on. and so every time I see her, I feel like I'm meeting her anew. And we've talked about a couple of her films, and they're great. I mean, she does great work. I am very excited to see her in this kind of a movie, which feels like possibly the biggest that she's done so far. Is that arguable?
No, I
don't know. Shutter Island, does that count?
No.
My Week with Marilyn was. I mean, that was a terrific film. I just don't feel like it was.
And I think in Shutter Island, it was really a DiCaprio vehicle, and whereas this is really setting her up as sort of the lead, carrying this film. But even like Manchester by the Sea, which amazing performance, sort of a secondary character. I mean, an important and crucial character, but in terms of screen time and all that, I think this is, the biggest film that she's going to be carrying. I mean, she's done smaller films like Wendy and Lucy that was all her, which I.
It was all her. But then I go back to Marilyn Monroe.
Oh,
I mean, did you see My Week with Marilyn? I mean, it's her performance as Marilyn was terrific. I just don't think I don't think it was as big as this is going to be. And so I'm really looking forward to see her in this, and it seems like even less of a sort of character piece than Marilyn, and so I'm really looking forward to it. I think it looks great. Where do you stand on the Spacey look?
I don't. Well, we talked about that with the Woody Harrelson LBJ thing of like, is it necessary to just bury a performer and all that, prosthetics to create an accurate portrayal or historical, look of someone. So we'll see, because he's unrecognizable. It's almost like the Gary Oldman, Winston Churchill thing, where you're like, I don't even recognize this guy in here. But I've heard tremendous things about Gary Oldman's performance, and Kevin Spacey has that, potential in him to deliver just one of these really, truly powerful performances. And because I think maybe in this case, it's a benefit, because I'm not going to look at that and go, oh, it's Kevin Spacey doing his Kevin Spacey thing like he did in Baby Driver. He really transforming himself to become, Getty. And I think that's what I'm hoping for, that I'm not going to get Kevin Spacey. I'm going to get, another person.
No, I think it's, I'm looking forward to this one. When does it hit?
That's December 8th. Is in theater, so right there, sort of in the sweet spot for Oscar, considerations in between the whole Thanksgiving and Christmas. Let's pack the theaters with all these quality award films. So I'm hoping this one doesn't get lost in the mix because I think there's some great potential here, but we'll see. It wasn't anything that was on my radar.
It's a funny narrative too, because I feel like, sometimes there are huge stories in the world that just miss you. And this was one that I don't know anything about. Nothing. So
nothing. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. All right. And I can't believe that I know if Andy were here, he would probably have chosen the trailer for Isle of Dogs. Wes Anderson's latest. Honestly, one of us probably should have chosen that. That's going to be a bonus trailer pick. Go watch Isle of Dogs. It's fantastic. You're not commenting. I'm assuming you either haven't seen it or don't like it.
I am mixed because I did not love Fantastic Mr.
Me neither.
Fox. So I'm torn, and so this is one. My trailer rule applied, I think, to this one, where it's one that I will probably go see, particularly since my oldest wants to be a veterinarian and loves dogs. So, dog-related films are usually, right up there. And I wanted to go into because of my bad reaction to Fantastic Mr. Fox. I thought, well, let me go in blind this one because I've seen some screen captures and I mean, looks good. Has a nice style to it, but story-wise, I'll go in blind and see where Mr. Anderson takes me.
And that's why I want to bring up this trailer in particular, because like almost every shot from this trailer is a perfect center balance shot, and it is totally his thing. But it just looks so darn good. I mean, watch it with the volume down, right? It's really a lovely little visual treat. Come on, man! I just got a dog.
Yes.
Leave me alone.
Well, now
it's
out.
Fine. It's all out.
That's convincing. There we go.
That's my big case. Well, now Pete bought a dog. Please watch this trailer.
What's this trailer?
Okay. Let's talk about lists, shall we? Now, Andy is not here, but if I recall, and these are the notes that I took for this particular list, and I think I've already broken the rule as I read this, but the rules as set up by the good Andy Nelson: best alien first contact movies in which the alien race comes to Earth and does not include indigenous people's first contact experiences or experiences in which humans meet new races on other planets and may or may not be required to happen in Montana.
I think that captures it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where would you like to start? What's your number 3 pick?
My number 3 pick. Okay, so I'm sort of thankful that Andy's not here because I had the feeling we were going to have a lot of overlap based on what I know are some of his favorite films and some things that he's watched recently. So I sort of felt freed up. I was like, I don't have to have some backups on this one. I don't have to, because I'm starting off with John Carpenter's Starman.
Oh man,
from 1984, and it's been a while since I've seen it, but just one of those science fiction movies that doesn't look like really a science fiction movie. It's an alien movie without really any aliens, because you've got Jeff Bridges, who is and Karen Allen, on just a basic, straightforward sort of fish out of water story because he's an alien, but the fact that he's taken on the form of her husband creates an interesting, dynamic between the two. And then it's sort of a road trip. And so when I thought about First Contact and just encounters with aliens, this was one I thought tends to get overlooked, tends to get forgotten. But just every time I see it, I go, yeah, this is such a great story. This is such a great film. And it's one of those, for me, when I first saw it in the 80s, John Carpenter was the guy that did Escape from New York and Halloween. And so this was and The Thing, this was so not those things, because it's just really about the humanity in these characters.
Red means stop. Green means go. Yellow means go very fast. You have already forced me to go to my backup picks. We overlap on our number 3s, Steve.
Oh, awesome.
I am often misinterpreted for making fun of this movie. I love this movie. I quote it. Jeff Bridges is just wonderful. This is a terrific pick, and I have a feeling it's one that's aged just enough that a lot of people haven't seen it, and it's totally worth seeing. It's charming. It's great.
There's nothing else to be seen. Just this is one. If you haven't seen it, go watch it right now. I mean, it's just you're going to have a great time with this, and because it's not the First Contact movie that you think, because it isn't about global politics. It's about personal stories.
That's right. Okay, my first pick is from 2009, a little bit more recent. And it is, I picked this movie because it shows us a first contact experience that is like something I've never seen before. And that is Neil Blomkamp's District 9. Extraterrestrial race forced to live in slum-like conditions on Earth suddenly finds a kindred spirit in a government agent who's exposed to their biotechnology. I really enjoyed this film because of the way that it actually took on this sort of first contact experience and made it something that is both sort of pedestrian and classist and racist, and like it captures so many of these incredibly culturally resonant themes, all in the relationship between the sort of modern military and you know the slums. And I found it, you know, it's gross, it's energetic, it's exhilarating and really depressing, and I found myself really moved by it, and surprisingly so.
Oh yeah, how can you not be moved by this film? Because it's, as I recall, it starts off with sort of a documentary style to sort of set everything up, and this was one where I was just blown away by the effects work, because it is so gritty and dirty, and you've got these alien ships, but it's not shiny futuristic space. It's so rooted in the problems of Earth today. And to take on those issues of sort of like segregation, it had so much that it was saying, and just did it so well that this was. Oh yeah, I'm so glad you've got this one on the list, because it's a film that I'm waiting for Neil Blomkamp to have something, you know, to follow up of this caliber. Because he just, you know, set a high bar for himself.
He did, and I think he's had a hard time. You know, I am looking forward to the as yet announced untitled Neil Blomkamp Alien Project. Who knows what that means? IMDb, nobody knows what that means. But since District 9, you know, I mean, Elysium, Chappie, Zygote, Lima, the shorts that he's done, but nothing has sort of met the bar of District 9. What's your next one?
All right, and I guess it still falls within the rules, because it is technically, I think, here on Earth-ish, depending on how you view the story and what happens at the end. I'm talking about Contact with Jodie Foster. Yes.
Okay.
Because it's such a great film. This is another one of my like perfect films, because it's just one that I just so close to my heart, because it's, again, an interesting story about first contact, but again, another, you know, and this is what I love about science fiction. You can tackle these, you know, issues like science and faith, and the conversations between them and how you reconcile them with each other. And so Jodie Foster, Matthew McConaughey, and the conversations they have, just a, you know, great story. The novel, based on the novel from Carl Sagan, which is a great read. If you love the movie, go. It's a big fat paperback. Go spend some time getting through it, because it does so much. It gets so much deeper as it can. But this is just a story that I love about, you know, when you really believe in something and it makes an impact on your life. And here it is, you know, first contact with sort of extraterrestrial species.
Well, you're making me go to my bucket list again, Steve. This is my number 2 as well. I think it was such a surprise for this film. It was only reading up on it this week that I learned that George Miller of Mad Max fame was originally set to direct, and actually was fired by Warner Brothers, and it caused a big old lawsuit. This would have been a very different movie.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I say that sort of you know, half in jest, but you know, I think he's a much more sensitive director to inject actual post-apocalyptic wasteland into Contact, but it would have been a very different film. And in fact, Robert Zemeckis, this is a very different film than I would have expected from Robert Zemeckis. And so in that regard, it makes it a real treat. This is where I started to like Matthew McConaughey, and my relationship with Matthew McConaughey has been quite a roller coaster. But this was a very high period for his portrayal of the modern Reverend. It was great. What a great pick. I think I don't know. Does a wormhole count?
Because the question is, does she leave Earth?
That is the question.
So I may be riding the line on that, but
But did she make contact on Earth?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't care. It's such a great film. I don't care.
All right. Well, I'm going to the bucket here, and I'm
okay.
A team of commandos. It starts well here. Team of commandos is on a mission in a Central American jungle, Steve, and they find themselves hunted by an extraterrestrial warrior. That's right. John McTiernan's Predator, 1987, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers, along with Jesse Ventura, Governor Jesse, Sonny Landham, Shane Black as Hawkins.
Yes.
I mean, this is a who's who of awesome alien first contact. And it involves no diplomacy. It involves no negotiation, no take me to your leader. This is straight up hunting party. And I was blown away when I saw this movie. Blown away, Steve. I don't remember how old I was, like 15 or something like that. But it was amazing. I wanted nothing more than to be this. And I my friends and I went and we built the machines, because he had that. It wasn't quite the Wolverine claw thing. It was the two spikes coming out of his fist. We built that with like hangers and springs. We had the full mask, spray painted cardboard mask. It was amazing. We were just amazing young people, truly. But the movie was also good. How'd this one stand up for you?
No, this is one of those that just, and Arnold was just sort of cranking out these action movies in the 80s, but this is one that always sort of stands above the rest. Alongside that, I think like Terminator, of just a really well done film that's more than just sort of like your B grade, action monster, blood and gore movie. This one did some really interesting things, and John McTiernan,
and John McTiernan.
What else can you say? It's just so much fun. And what bothers me the most is this is the franchise they just have not figured out how to sort of reboot, restart, or keep going. There've just been sort of these. There's been a sequel. You've got the Alien versus Predators. And so I'm just waiting because there is The Predator, which is coming in 2018. So we'll see, this is Shane Black sort of going back to, the source material, I guess. And we love Shane Black. So I'm really excited to see where he goes. And I think the source material, merits this. We need more Predator movies. We need more good quality because it's so much fun. I'm excited about it. I mean, you look at the cast for The Predator, and I don't want to get too off topic here, but Yvonne Strahovski, who you just can't help but falling in love with from Chuck. She's wonderful. Olivia Munn, who knows what they're going to do with her? She could use a really strong role. Because I think she's capable of it, and I've absolutely adored her TV work. She was fantastic in Newsroom. Boyd Holbrook, Alfie Allen, Thomas Jane. Again, we just mentioned Thomas Jane from 1922. Edward James Olmos is in this. Jacob Tremblay is in this. Unfortunately, he's locked in a room the whole time. You never actually see him. Too soon. Keegan-Michael Key is in this. Sterling Brown. I mean, I think it's a fantastic cast. So in terms of having the raw material and an incredible universe, I'm looking forward to it, but I'm very nervous. Yes, well, that's because you've got Predator that as a teenager seeing that, it's just that's one that just you hold on to your inner teenager
That's right.
and just the love that you have for those.
Go
films.
for the ride.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
What's your number one?
Well, we'll see.
Are we gonna overlap again?
We'll see.
I have a feeling we are.
I was really torn on this, so I'll tell you. I have a secondary list that I had to just set aside to talk about because I have to explain why one film isn't on my list right now. So number one, I have to go with Arrival.
Steve, everyone, Steve, you never get to go first again.
See, no, this is the Homestar thing. You and me, like-minded. Andy, he's just
not so much.
Andy over there. No, I'm glad we're on the same page because this was one where I had, heard about this film coming out. I, really enjoyed, Denis' work on Prisoners. And so when I heard that, and Sicario, and so when I heard this was coming and it was based on a short story, I said, okay, I got to go find this short story and read it. And I read it and said, I have no idea how you can make this into a feature-length film. What the heck? What are they doing? This is going to be a disaster. And I saw, you got Amy Adams and Hawkeye. Why can't I think of his
Jeremy
name?
Renner.
Jeremy Renner. And I thought, okay, interesting, because these are actors of a certain level that do deserve sort of like headline status, but they just haven't really quite got there yet. But they do so much in this. And so when it came to, went and saw it in the theater, and I think I was speechless for a good half hour afterwards because what happened? It twisted my brain around and just had this tremendous, overwhelming sense of this is an amazing film that the world deserves. And I think at a time when it was really important, it's really important because it gets into political issues again of, global politics in this case of how do we as a world react to outsiders coming and attempting to communicate with us. And this is just, there's no film like it.
There is no film like it. And, I the thing I want to talk to you about with this film, and I'm not going to my bucket list for this one. I'm standing by this as my number one pick too, because my bucket list includes Communion, Whitley Strieber's autobiography of alien abduction, and I can't take myself seriously when I say it, even though Christopher Walken is in it. So the thing I want to talk to you about, the big question I have for you, once you've seen the film, does it hold up on second viewing? Once you know the twist.
Yes. Yeah, totally.
I think so too.
Totally does.
I have been reading critique from people who say this was a mind-blowing experience for the first time, but the second time sucks. Don't bother. And I can't disagree more. It is, first of all, it's beautiful. It is beautiful to watch. And what they do here, what Denis does here for just creating a landscape that is completely perfect for accepting the visual data of Alien First Contact, right? I mean, he's just pitch perfect. I buy every step. I felt like when I first saw this film that I could walk out of the theater and see the giant bean in the parking lot. Like it was that sort of real and visceral for me. So but the twist at the end, I feel like you just have to let go of the fact that it's not just one twist. I mean, there is a whole sort of other layer to this film that I think takes multiple viewings to really ingest, to really understand. And I can't say enough about it.
Oh no, it's one where the twist doesn't ruin everything else that comes before it. Because for me, the to tell if a film really holds up is to look at that story, and then now you know the twist. You have this other information that's been withheld intentionally, and you go back, and does everything still make sense? And the logic and the way people are reacting and interacting with each other now that you have this knowledge, it's still it holds up so well, and I think adds just another level to what's going on in terms. And this is a very emotional story, very character, Amy Adams and what she goes through, and knowing this twist, you get to take that journey along with her, on a second and third viewing, and it's still just as powerful.
Yep. Totally agree. She's amazing. But you mentioned Jeremy Renner. He's fantastic. Forrest Whitaker this is another great performance from Forrest Whitaker. I think the entire cast is just wonderful. I can't say enough good stuff about this film. And we never did this one on the show, and I regret that. I feel like I need maybe we need a Villeneuve series coming up, because
something.
Maybe we can anchor that around Blade Runner at some point and talk about some of his other films, because it's just that good. It's that good.
So I didn't have a bucket list, but I did have, if needed, so I'm cheating. I have a second list. And it's interesting that none of these showed up, but I think Andy may have had some of these. But
probably. Who are we kidding?
I've got my Spielberg list.
Oh, Close Encounters, E.T.,
Crystal Skull.
Crystal Skull. Oh, you're a dark person.
Well, I came up with the two. I'm like, how do I not? Because I thought Andy's going to have E.T., and I'm like, Close Encounters. I just talked about that, and it's up there, but everybody knows that one, and so I wanted to, throw some things at people that may not have been high on their radar. And I thought, well, can I come up with a third one? Well, yeah, Crystal Skull does sort of fit the bill of, alien contact.
You're still a good person.
Yeah. I mean, I can't tell if that one holds up to like second viewing, because I've only seen it once.
It almost doesn't. You can't really pick it because we talked about it on the show, according to the rules.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
that is true.
Okay.
Oh, and E.T. as well.
Even though we would all like to forget. Okay, so this week on the show, we are talking about Star Trek Insurrection coming up this week, which means next week's matinee, we need a new list, and Andy isn't here to set the rules. Do you have any thoughts?
Well, so it's Insurrection, so I think the idea of tackling like the blood feud, the rival clans, family, conflict across generations, I think that works. And I think it's going to be a challenge to pull that list together. But I think, spending some time, I think we can come up with some interesting titles to look at, stories focusing on that sort of family rivalry and blood feud. Now, as far other restrictions, I think that's given us some really fine parameters already. To add more onto that would just be an exercise in futility for us to find films. So it must be blood feuds constrained to the northwest, part of Europe, in between 1100 and 1750.
That only take place near a stream.
Yes.
Or a lake, some sort of small body of water.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think we can leave it at blood feud. Well, did we say family? Like it has to be blood feuds, but is there a mother-son component at all? Because Insurrection.
Well, I think
there's that
warring,
great mother-son moment.
You get warring families. I mean, it could be separate families feuding against each other. And I think the blood feud, is just the fact that it's maybe something that's gone on for generations, so it's a long-standing feud. It doesn't have to be within a single family. It could be two separate families fighting over something that just has gone on and on and on. Okay, I get it. Now I'm seeing Civil War movies. Sure. Okay, yeah, that can fall into that. Okay, I think. Yeah. All right, I like that. Possibly Civil War. All this is going into the rule set. That's fine. Okay, Civil War, families torn asunder. Yes, I think that'll do it. And I think the word asunder adds a sense of gravitas to it. Don't you agree? It's too early for asunder and gravitas. Asunder / with gravitas. Okay, now I got them both in there. So Andy, we're doing our list. It's blood feuds with a side of gravitas. Gravitas and asunders. And asunders. Hey, this was fun. What's the next thing you're going to see? Well, like I said, Blade Runner, Kingsman, and then JJ and I have our next trailer rewind coming up, and we'll be recording that in a couple weeks. And I'm going easy on JJ, because we did scare the pants off of him, earlier this year. So we're gonna take on one of the most overlooked films from last year, which is Miss Sloane with Jessica Chastain. Oh, so, what a good choice! Yes. Oh, that's a great choice. Oh yes, I totally overlooked. Last year was for me was the year of redheads between Amy Adams in Arrival and Jessica Chastain and Miss Sloane. It was just okay. Both doing turns of a career. Yes.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. I don't know. I don't know if that makes a series. Movies with fantastic redheaded actors.
I don't know. That could be a list for.
It's a future. That's going to be a future list. Well, on that note, Steve, happy matinee. Thanks for chatting.
Yes. Oh, good morning to you.
Good morning to you. And thank you to all of you Patreon folks. We sure appreciate your time and attention and your dollar bills over at patreon.com/thenextreel. We, I want to be the guy who says we couldn't do it without you. We would do this anyway because we love it, but we want to continue to grow, and we certainly appreciate you sending support as we try to do that. So
maybe you should say we want to do it with you.
We want to do it with you. Yes.
Not just us. We want you to be part of
We
this.
could do it with you. We can do more with you.
Exactly.
Want to hang out? How about that?
Hey, because when the movie ends, the conversation begins. And we would love to have them part of our conversation.
Oh, Steve, you're such a poet.